Mayan spoke. It was around 9 p.m., and the night air carried a strange kind of silence, the kind that made my skin prickle as if someone was watching me. I looked up at the sky. It was covered with heavy clouds that hid the stars, and the cold breeze brushed against my cheeks, making me shiver. I stood alone at the bus station. My arms were wrapped tightly around myself. The only source of light was the dim yellow street lamp, which was buzzing weakly. For a moment, I wondered if even the lights wanted to abandon me tonight. My mind, as usual, was heavy. Why is my life so depressed? The question repeated again and again in my mind like a broken record. I couldn't stop. I sighed heavily and cursing my destiny for being so rude to me. I had a loving and caring mother, but then destiny decided to remove her from my life. I surely forgot a lot of my childhood memories, but I clearly remember the day my mother left me. It was raining that day. I was crossing a road with my mother when an overspeed car came. Before I could process anything, my mother pushed me on the other side of the road. But she couldn't save herself. The people gathered, an ambulance was called, but she could have not been taken to the hospital even. That was the worst day of my life, and if I speak honestly, after that day, every day of my life became worst nightmare. Well, after my father had remarried. At first, I thought maybe life would give me another chance to feel like a family again, but I was wrong. She treated me not as a daughter, someone who cooked, cleaned, and followed orders with no voice of her own. Sometimes I used to stare at the family photo we once had with my real mother and wonder if my father even remembered her warmth. Her love had he erased it as easily as he erased me. I kicked the small stone while waiting for the bus which had not arrived yet. The long silence of the empty road made me restless. I rubbed my hands together to keep them warm and sighed. My breath formed a small white cloud in the cold air. Just then my phone rang. The shrill sound broke the stillness of the night. My heart skipped and I quickly pulled the phone from my coat pocket. When I glanced at the caller ID, my chest tightened. It was Joshua, my fiance. Everyone in Korea admired the rich, powerful owner of one of the biggest companies in the country. People whispered about him in hushed voices. Some said that he had ties with the underworld, claiming his power was not clean, but I never believed those stories, or maybe I didn't want to believe them. You must be thinking, why didn't I believe? Why would a girl like me, who had already suffered so much, close her eyes to something so obvious? His charm in people was just a mask. Just his cold stare that made me want to crawl out of my own skin. I hated him. But fate, or maybe my father's greed, had tied me to him. It's not like I'm just cursing my destiny or doing myself nothing. I tried running away many times, but as I said, Joshua was not just a rich businessman. There is one more reason for which I didn't want to marry him. Actually, my heart had already belonged to someone else, someone I could never forget, no matter how many years passed. A memory that haunted me in every quiet night. Anyways, I swallowed my frustration and answered his call. Where are you, no, Wayan? His voice came out sharp and panicked like he was scolding me for committing a crime. I frowned, glancing around the empty bus stop. I am at the bus station near the convenience store, I replied softly, my voice uncertain. Ugh, how many times have I told you not to go out alone? You are soon to be my wife. Why don't you understand that? He said. I rolled my eyes though he couldn't see it. Joshua, it is just a bus station. Don't worry, I will reach home safely. I muttered under my breath. You don't know what I know. Just look around yourself carefully, he said, and I rolled my eyes. But reluctantly, I glanced around my surroundings. My jaw dropped when I witnessed the figure standing under the broken street light near the bench. A man in a black hoodie. It was so dark I was not able to see his face clearly, but by looking at his shadow, I could guess that he was a man. My throat went dry and I gulped nervously. A chill ran down my spine, and suddenly Joshua's paranoid words didn't seem so foolish anymore. I forced myself to look away, but when I turned my head to the right, I froze. Were they following me? Were they were staring? Though it disgusted me to ask Joshua for help, though it bruised my pride, but survival was more important in this moment. Joshua, please send your man. I whispered sneakily into phone. There was a pause on the other end. Then he groaned loudly. I knew it. That's why I keep telling you. I want to hire a personal bodyguard for you, but you never listen, Ryan. I bit my lip, my fingers trembling as I clenched the phone tighter. He didn't wait for me to respond. Okay, fine. Stay exactly where you are. Don't move. My man will be there in a few seconds with the car. Do you understand me? His voice was demanding, almost like an order. I whispered a shaky, okay. With that, he cut the call. I didn't bother to look around myself as I already knew they were still present there. I stood frozen, my legs were stiff, my breath shallow, every second felt like an hour. Finally, two black cars appeared from the corner of the street, my chest loosened slightly. The car stopped in front of me, the tinted window of the car door rolled down just a little, and I peeked inside. Relief washed over me when I saw familiar faces. They were Joshua's men. Without wasting a second, I hurried into the car, my hands trembled as I closed the door. The driver started the engine. A sigh of relief left my mouth as I leaned back against the cold leather seat. The next morning, I was standing in the small kitchen of my father's house. I was stirring the pot of soup and frying some eggs when my stepmother walked inside the kitchen. She gave me a look before speaking in her sharp voice. Get ready, Joshua's driver is coming to pick you up. She yelled out. I froze, the wooden spoon in my hand trembled. But why? I asked. My voice was hesitant, almost afraid of the answer. Her eyes narrowed at me with hatred that burned hotter than fire. Because he wants to spend time with you, she said. A smirk was playing on her lips. My chest tightened. I don't want to go, I whispered almost in a pleading voice, but the next moment she glared at me and I landed on cold floor. Tears stung my eyes as I looked up at her. Her face showed no guilt, no shame, only satisfaction. I glanced towards the living room where my father sat comfortably. He was reading the newspaper as if nothing had happened. His eyes met mine briefly, then rolled away in annoyance. It was like watching a stranger, not a father. He had grown so used to my suffering that it had no longer meant anything to him. This was my daily reality. I forced myself to stand up as I went upstairs to change, as I had no other choice. I slipped into a plain dress, brushed my hair with shaking hands, and stared at my reflection in the mirror. When I finally came downstairs, the driver was already waiting outside. I climbed into the sleek black car. My heart was burning, thinking, Joshua's mansion. As the car stopped in front of Joshua's mansion, the tall iron gates opened slowly, and the sight of enormous house made my chest tighten. It was not home. I stepped out of the car and walked into the living room. The maids lined up immediately, bowing their heads low. Welcome, Miss Mayan. They greeted softly. Their politeness didn't comfort me at all. As I turned on my feet, I saw Joshua. He was sitting on a black leather chair. His legs was crossed, a glass of wine was resting in his hand, and his gaze was fixed on me. As soon as his eyes landed on me, he stood up. My heart raced. Let me go, I whispered. My voice was shaking badly, and tears were about to fall down. He smirked, seeing me like that. Do you think I will let you go, Wayne? He whispered darkly. I squeezed my eyes shut as tears slid down my cheeks. Don't cry, sweetie. I have something special for you today, he said, wiping a tear from my cheek. My heart pounded faster. You know what? I hired a personal bodyguard for you. He said, his tone dripping with pride as if he was giving me a most expensive gift. Then he turned to his man standing near the door. Bring him in. I froze, still feeling Joshua's hand. The door opened slowly and I looked up slowly. My entire world stopped. The man who walked in made my jaw drop, my heart itch, and my breath catch all at once. It was him, Jungkook, the boy I loved years ago, the boy who disappeared from my life without a word, the boy whose smile once healed every scar inside me, the boy I never stopped loving. And now he was standing right there. This is your new bodyguard. Jungkook's met mine, dark, unreadable, yet filled with something that made my heart itch even more. My lips trembled, but no words came out. I just stared at him blankly. Jungkook's point of view. The moment I stepped into the mansion, I felt a chill crawling down my spine. I didn't know what to expect when Joshua told me I would be guarding someone special to him, but I was not prepared for this. There she was, Vian, the girl I loved, the girl I left behind, the only girl who ever made my heart race. My jaw went slack and my chest tightened painfully. My heart stopped. No, my heart shattered. How can this be real? I saw her trembling. I could never take her out of my mind throughout these years. My eyes filled with tears, but I forced myself to follow. I had no choice. I had to hide what I felt. Joshua chuckled darkly, patting Ryan's shoulder. This is Jungkook, your bodyguard, he said to her, smirking, but Ryan was not just standing there silent, seeing her. I could tell that she was not happy with him. As if my sudden return was too much for her heart to bear, Joshua was broke the silence. Hey Jungkook, give me and wifey a ride. I nodded stiffly. Yes, sir. Though I was breaking into pieces, but I managed to whisper. I walked out first and they were walking behind me. I didn't want to turn around. But then I did look back, just once, and in her eyes I saw it, pain, fear, and maybe a small part of her still remembered me. As we got into the car, Joshua sat proudly beside her. And me? I sat in the driver's seat, my knuckles were white on the steering wheel, and my heart was pounding so loud I thought they would hear it. For a brief second, both of our eyes met through the rearview mirror. Her gaze collided with mine. She was clutching her dress slightly as if she was trying to hold back her emotions. Just then, Joshua spoke. Take us to the restaurant, Jungkook. I want to spend the day with that, my fiance. My heart clenched, but that moment I was compelled to stay quiet because I wanted to know about her thoughts, her feelings. Yes, sir, I replied by rolling my eyes. As I was driving towards the restaurant, I kept stealing glances at her through the mirror. She was not happy, not at all. Finally, we reached the restaurant. I rushed to her side, pulling out her chair. Before she sat down, my heart was pounding so hard I thought it might break through my chest. Joshua leaned back, smirking as he gave the waiter his order. Get us Thai food. My body reacted before my brain could. She can't eat Thai food. She is allergic. I blurted out. The second I said it, my heart stopped and her eyes widened, her lips parted slightly in shock. She looked at me. Joshua turned his head sharply. How do you know that? He asked suspiciously. I froze. What could I say? I couldn't tell him the truth that every little detail of her was carved into my heart, that I never forgot even the smallest thing about her. Before I could make some context, Vian cleared her throat and quickly spoke up. Mostly girls don't eat Thai food. Maybe that's why he said that. Joshua's suspicion melted into a laugh. Oh, is that so? He spoke clearly satisfied with her explanation. I looked at her again, my eyes out full of regret. I couldn't speak. She glanced back at me, her eyes were watery, and in that moment everything we lost hung between us like an unspoken truth. You stay here, I need to use the bathroom, he said, smirking at her. She nodded, but I could see how uncomfortable she felt. As he disappeared, my heart raced. It was now only two of us. I didn't know whether to look at her or hide my face. I was gathering up all my courage to ask her if she still feels something for me or did she move on, but before I could say a word, she whispered, Why did you do that, Jungkook? Why did you leave me? The words stabbed my heart, my eyes grew watery. Instantly, I clenched my face, trying to hold myself together, but the pain was too much. I looked down and letting out a sigh, I spoke. My parents, they forced me to leave Seoul. They sent me away for bodyguard training. I tried, Ryan. I tried to contact you. I missed you every single day, but when I came back, you were gone. I couldn't find you. I whispered back, my voice was trembling. Her eyes welled up with tears too, her lips were quivering. I saw the heartbreak in her explanation, the same heartbreak I carried in my chest. For a moment, it felt like the world had stopped. Then Joshua returned, and just like that, the moment shattered, we both left the restaurant together. The next morning, Ryan spoke. I quietly set the breakfast table, laying down bowls of rice, kimchi, and soup for my father and stepmother. Just as I placed the last dish, the sound of a car horn echoed outside. I froze, my chest tightened. That sound had already become a chain around my neck. Did Joshua again send the driver? My stepmother's face lit up with a fake sweetness as she peeked through the window. Oh, Joshua must have sent his driver for you, she said, clapping her hands together like it was something suspicious. Ah, he's so thoughtful. He wants to see you again. What a lucky girl you are. To be suffocated? No, I was not lucky. I forced a small nod and stepped outside. But the moment I saw who stood by the car, my heart twisted painfully. Jungkook. He was dressed in a black suit. His posture was perfect, but my eyes, those eyes, met mine for a brief second. My heart raced. I was not angry with him anymore because I got to know he was compelled to do that just like me. He still had feelings for me. I walked towards the car. Jungkook quickly leaned forward as he opened the car door. Please, he murmured softly, motioning for me to get in. I hesitated. And then finally I slid into the seat. The leather was cold, but his presence beside me warmed something deep inside that had long been frozen. As he started the engine, his voice was quiet. Joshua wants to see you. I scoffed bitterly, my eyes sting with tears. Of course he does, I whispered. Then my voice cracked, the words stumbled out before I could stop them. Do you really forget me, Jungkook? The days we spent together, the promise. As soon as I said that, the steering wheel slipped slightly beneath his grip. His knuckles turned white as he tightened his hold. Finally, he whispered, his voice was breaking. You are still my everything. My breath hit my tears fell freely now, but I didn't care. I turned my head towards him, and when our eyes met, it was like the world had stopped spinning. The car around us disappeared. I will take you away, Ryan. We will start over, just you and me. My heart raced wildly as we pulled into Joshua's mansion. Jungkook opened the door for me and I stepped out. As we reached the gate, two guards rushed to us. Their faces were pale and anxious. Sir Joshua, he has been captured. There are no chance he will come back. If you want to stay alive, just go away. Don't let his rivals know that you had some kind of link with him. Just run away. They said and ran out of the mansion gate. The world was silent. For a moment I couldn't breathe. I turned my head towards Jungkook. My eyes were wide. They were shining with something I had not felt in years freedom. He looked at me and our lips curved into a smile. He held my hands, his fingers intertwining tightly as if we were afraid this moment would slip away. Hands in hands, we got back into the car. No words were spoken. There was no need. Our heart screamed louder than any voice, leaving behind the mansion, the pain, the darkness. Jungkook started the engine and it roared against the road. For the first time, it felt like the future was ours to hold. There were bright smiles on our faces and they were saying everything.